What's up? This is Tom Froming from TwinsDaily.com, and today we're going to talk about a very nice come-from-behind one-run victory. The Twins beat the Tigers 4-3 on Monday. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Hope you were able to enjoy a nice long weekend. If you had to work, thanks for working, keeping the world moving. But Jake Odorizzi had to work today. He only went 5 innings, so not very surprising out of Odorizzi these days, but facing Detroit, you can maybe kind of hope for more than that. But as you can see here, game score was over 50. So he pitched pretty well at the end of the day. Only 91 pitches, maybe in different circumstances, they would have pushed him another inning, but 5 innings, no problem here. 15 swinging strikes, that's good. 69.2 strike percentage is pretty high out of Odorizzi. He allowed a solo home run to Miguel Cabrera, and then the Tigers had a little rally in the 5th inning. It was funny. They're the first 3 guys of that inning got hits, and then they laid down a sacrifice bunt. So it was like they had Odorizzi against the ropes, and then they gave him an out in the 5th inning. I mean, I know that it's a 1-run game. The Tigers aren't a huge offense, but if you're playing for 1 run in the 5th inning in 2019, I understand that circumstances are a little bit different for Detroit than they are for the Twins right now in terms of their offensive firepower, but that ended up being potentially costly. Let's go. I'm going to show you just a review of that how that inning started and how those 2 runs scored. On the positive side, all 3 of the pitches that Odorizzi threw that went for base hits in that inning were good pitches. You can see in the location when I show this video, they were either on the edges or actually out of the zone, and the Tigers just got hits on them. But on the downside, all 3 of those hits also came with 2-strike counts. So that's kind of been a theme for a little while, especially in this Detroit series, of the Twins pitching, getting to 2 strikes and not being able to put away the batters. And the Tigers did a pretty good job at being aggressive in this series. They weren't going down looking, that's for sure. So let's throw it to that, and then we'll come right back.
And out of the reach of Odorizzi. Up the middle. Odorizzi has that ball go under his gloves. Base hit center field. Lugo to third. They're waving him around. And Kepler's throw cut off. And
anticipating the bunt.
Rogers squares immediately.
Early.
And a bunt beautifully. Now Adrianza fell down. He has to barehand it, and he gets Rogers. And that was 2 men in scoring position. High fly to right center field. And it is Kepler with the catch. And the Tigers will take the lead on a sacrifice fly.
So there you see what happened there. That's pretty much all I have to say about Odorizzi. Let's move down to Tyler Duffy. He had another shutout inning. Gave up a couple hits, but struck out the side. That gives him 10 strikeouts in his last 5 1/3 innings for the Twins. So he's really rolling, looking nasty out of the bullpen. Zach Littell returned. He was one of the guys that was added to the roster as the roster is expanded for September. And he threw a scoreless inning, although he also gave up a couple hits. Still, 0.96 ERA in his last 17 games with the Twins. So he's definitely been a reliable guy. And then that was a big inning because that allowed the Twins at bottom some time to take the lead. And then it was Sergio Romo and Taylor Rogers, both pitching in high leverage situations, both throwing shutout innings, both getting credit for a shutdown performance in this game. So great to see. And we talked yesterday about how Sam Dyson is, I'd like to see him get rolling before he's really put back into a high leverage role. I'm confident that will happen, but I want to see him work in lower leverage situations. So it's really nice to see Romo come into a high leverage situation and get the job done, because they can't really have both of those guys who are kind of supposed to be there to help get to Rogers struggling. So very nice performance. No walks in this game. That's one thing you'll notice. Nobody walked anybody. The only home run was the Miguel Cabrera solo home run. Good things are going to happen when that's the case. So let's just take a look. Again, I know I mentioned that was a 1-run victory. This is not including today's win. The Twins are now 18-11 in 1-run games. You can see coming into the day, they already had the best winning percentage in one-run games in the American League, better than the Yankees, better than the Astros. So that's a great thing to see. And kind of the biggest news pitching-wise of the day is that Randy Dobnak's going to start tomorrow at Boston, and then Jose Barrios is going to get his spot moved back. So Dobnak's kind of moving into Gibson's spot, I suppose, but then they're bumping Barrios back a day. I like both those moves. One thing to keep in mind, though, is as of right now, Dobnak's thrown 70 pitches in the last 5 days, 53 on Thursday, another 17 on Saturday. So I wouldn't expect him to have like a traditional start tomorrow. It's probably going to be shorter, maybe 50, 60, 70 pitches at the most. Maybe even shorter than that, because, they have all these other guys. They have, Thorpe and Smeltzer and Stewart, a lot of guys that can provide them some length, and the bullpen's pretty fresh as well. But something on Dobnak I want to mention real quick. Some people may be kind of surprised that he was the guy who's stepping into that role. But I'm gonna show you something funny you can find on Fangraphs here. If you go to leaders, well, let me shrink myself down, get me out of the way. Leaders and prospects, the board. That brings you to a screen that's only going to show prospect lists. You can also go to MILB leaders, minor league leaders. And from here, there's all sorts of fun stuff that you can kind of get really down to. And one of the things that's neat, I think, is you can pull up just upper levels. That's including AAA and AA stats. So we'll do that. And I'm going to just set this at 100 innings. We'll flip this over to pitchers. So minimum 100 innings between double and AAA. I think this is a really interesting number to look at, because I think it's, we know that AAA is tough to pitch at because they're using the Major League ball now. And I think AA is tough for the Twins right now, because even though I love Pensacola, it's a great affiliation, beautiful stadium, but that seems like a great place to hit and maybe not the best place to pitch. So both of those levels, I think, for the Twins system right now are pretty difficult places for a pitcher to be. And you can see in this sample of 164 pitchers who have 100 innings between double and AAA, Randy Dobnak had the fourth best ERA out of anybody in that sample. And it's not like it was all just kind of luck. He has a 3.18 FIP, which was ninth out of that sample, and his xFIP was 11th. You can see here, not a giant strikeout guy, 7.59 Ks per nine. That's not very impressive. That's much lower than most of the guys up in this list. But how does he do that? Second best ground ball percentage in this sample, 59.7. So this guy's just a ground ball machine. And he wasn't really on a prospect radar. He's a 24-year-old guy they signed out of an independent league. So very non-traditional sort of guy coming up through the system. But, he went out and he did the job up in the upper levels of the minor leagues, and he's pitched well for the Twins so far. So it's going to be fun to see what happens, pitching at Boston and Fenway. That's going to be crazy for him, I'm sure. But another thing I want to mention heading into this series is that it'll be Dobnak versus Porcello, Barrios versus Eduardo Rodriguez, and Martin Perez versus Nathan Eovaldi. I think if you look at that stack and just sort of not think about any 2019 numbers, you're thinking the Twins are in deep trouble, because just the name recognition alone on the Red Sox three starters versus the Twins. And we know how Martin Perez has been pretty inconsistent. Dobnak's only thrown 8 innings, but I kind of threw these all in a spreadsheet and tallied it up. In just those starting pitching matchups for this series at Boston, the Twins have a pretty big advantage in overall ERA between their three guys and the results of the Red Sox three guys, a slight advantage in whip and a slight advantage in strikeout to walk ratio. So you may think, oh boy, gulp, Randy Dobnak and Martin Perez and a struggling Jose Barrios heading into Boston. But who knows? These Boston pitchers haven't been performing either. So it's going to be interesting to see. And if we can jump back to this standings thing, you can see that, not including today, Boston was only 15-15 over the last 30 games. So this isn't a team that's playing extremely well anyway. Excited to see what happens in this series, and really excited. What a cool thing for Randy Dobnak. His first major league start's going to be at Fenway. I'm excited to see how he does. Again, this has been Tom Froming from TwinsDaily.com. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll talk again soon.